So something else you need to take into consideration is who are the other artists in your area, what sort of art are they offering, what sort of prices do they set their work at. There's this artist in my area who is an abstract painter. He's self-taught, and I met him a couple of years ago at an art fair. Now his father is pretty well known, a pretty famous artist in this area, and he's well known for his realistic paintings. So he has a reputation, and so his son decided that he was going to be a painter as well, but obviously he decided to go down the abstract route. And I first met him a couple of years ago at an art fair. It was like, you know, we all set up and then he was eyeing me off and I was sort of eyeing his work off, and you know that sort of thing when artists all start exhibiting together, you sort of all check each other's work out and you sort of start to formulate your own opinions of, oh yeah, that sucks, or that's really good. And don't say we all don't do it, because we all do somewhere. We all, you know, we all have these little, oh yeah, I wouldn't be putting that up for sale. But anyway, love, don't hate. Yeah, so, and you know, for me his work was, I mean, we're all at different levels, and I've always said that, you know, and you don't judge people for what they do, but honestly, his work, he was bragging to me, and I guess this is why I this is why I came up with this idea about him and his work, was that he was bragging to me about how many paintings he produces a year, and I think he said it was over, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but it was a huge amount. Maybe 300 plus paintings a year. Oh, and I only used the most expensive paint that I can get, and he was telling me the brand and all this sort of stuff. And I'm going, yeah. And I was looking at his work, and he's just basically just takes paint and sloshes it around on a canvas, and he does it. And at this exhibition art fair, he must have had at least, I don't know, 200 paintings, but he'd had a lot of them. But the thing was, he spent all this money on expensive paints, but he put them on the most cheapest canvases from China that you could get. I mean, hey, if you've got money, if you're an artist and if you can afford it, I think you should buy the best materials that you can get in terms of supplies, especially when it comes to canvas and your stretcher. For me, that's most important. If you can afford a good canvas with a good support and a good backing, then do it. Those cheap canvases and that, they won't last in 100 years time. They'll eventually, because some of the canvases are so thin. Anyway, and they warp really easy when they got pressure on them. But anyway, the story is that he just stacked, they were like this big, and he just stacked them up like bricks on top of each other. And he had like about 20 on top of each other, all stacked up. And as I looked through them all, they were all the same. He just basically repeated the same image, the same swirl, and just kept on throwing other layers of paint. Honestly, it looked like kindergarten art. Like, I could get a bunch of 5-year-olds, give them some paint, and they could produce something, actually probably something a little bit better, but anyway, that's not for here. God, you're such a bitch for today. Love, don't hate. But you know what? He was selling his work for, oh my God, the prices were exuberant. But he was selling his work. There were people coming up and buying his work. And his father was standing right next to him the whole time. And I was just going, oh my God. Those people aren't buying the art, they're buying the reputation. And that happens with so many artists. Once they get a reputation, then a lot of artists, you know, they can do anything and still make money from it. So you just can't buy class or hard work. But I think for me it was just his bragging about, oh yes, I use the most expensive paints. And, oh yes, and I sold this and I sold that. And it's, you know, it's okay to brag. It's okay to say, oh yeah, no, I sold the painting last week. But to do it in that sort of fashion, I felt I was a bit off-putting really. I thought, oh, mate, it's not about that really. It's about, okay, what are you trying to say with your art? What is it? What's the message there? What is the value in it? What are you getting from it? I mean, for me, he was just after the fame and making money from his art and stuff. Yeah, so you sort of have to look around and see what other artists are selling their work for, and see the type of quality of work. And I guess that you have to sort of have a bit of an eye for that as well, I guess, in some ways.